Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another in my series of why I love this artist. Now, these kind of come sporadically when I have inspiration. Um, Kind of fill them in with, individual albums that I talk about. I just did a video on I Am Loving You by the Avett Brothers. Well, I say I just did. It was about a week or so ago. And I thought I would go ahead and do a video that I've kind of been teasing and promising for a while. Just haven't gotten around to doing it. And I am, of course, going to be talking about the prefab four, as they were once known, the Monkees. Yep. Mickey Dolenz, Peter Tork, Davy Jones, and Mike Nesmith. Obviously, the fabricated group that were created in the mid to late 60s for the TV show The Monkees, which I believe aired for 2 seasons on CBS. They recorded a number of albums with Cole Jim's Records and are now very much affiliated with the Rhino Records group. They, again, came together. They were a bunch of actors and a couple of musicians that were put together essentially as a an answer to Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. The movie, they wanted to do a show about, like a Beatlemania kind of group. The only difference was the Monkees TV show obviously focused on these guys that all lived in one house on the beach. They weren't necessarily successful. They were always trying to find ways to do a gig, and it was almost like a cartoon kind of show. It was silly. There was nothing really realistic about it. But what was so cool about it was that it utilized so much of the Monkees' music, and as a result, we had a lot of music from the Monkees in just a very short period of time because they needed more songs to fill in more scenes for these episodes because they were replaying the same songs over and over again. But anyway, I want to talk about a little bit about my Monkees journey and kind of how I got to where I am, kind of, what I think about the Monkees, some favorite albums, again, some couple little side things as well, and we'll just jump right into it. So, obviously, I knew about the Monkees, as I did a lot of the other groups that I've talked about, Beach Boys, the Beatles, Tom Petty, because of oldies radio growing up. So I knew the songs "Daydream Believer" and "I'm a Believer." I knew those songs, and that was about it. Didn't really care to get into anything else. Not because I didn't have any interest, but at that point, my musical knowledge was growing, and where I was starting was not with the Monkees. I was digging deep into the Beatles. I was digging deep into Tom Petty, even Bob Dylan. Later on in my high school years, getting into those groups, the Zombies, all those groups I was getting into, and I was taking them one at a time. I wasn't fully, spreading out to find, oh, this, and this. I was taking it. I would get immersed in something. The Who, I listened to the album Tommy a lot. Um, just was getting into groups like that. I wasn't spreading out, all that much. Well, jump to, I believe it was my freshman year of college, which would have been, it could have been late 2012 or early 2013. So we're looking at 12 years ago now. My library at school was having a book fair, and they were selling books, and I went over there just to check it out to see if there was anything that I could buy for cheap. And they had a little box of CDs, and one of the CDs was this CD right here, which I just showed, the Monkees' Greatest Hits. This was a 1995 Rhino release. There have been many Monkees' Greatest Hits, but I found this. I saw it had 20 songs, so I was looking at it, and I said, yeah, I know Last Train to Clarksville. I know I'm a Believer. I know Stepping Stone, Pleasant Valley Sunday, Daydream Believer, but that was about it. Everything else I didn't really know. So that was 5 or 6 songs that I knew. But there were songs on here like I Want to Be Free, Mary Mary, A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You, The Girl I Knew Somewhere, Words, Going Down, Valerie. Then the great single, Listen to the Band, the Michael Nesmith tune. I listened to this album, really liked it, really got into this album, listened to it a bunch. Not as much as other albums, but I did listen to it quite a bit. This even had, That Was Then, This Is Now, and then Heart and Soul, which were kind of a couple of like the reunion tracks from the 80s. And I just really, really got into this. I was looking at the guys, checking it out. But the song that really stood out to me on this album was the song Listen to the Band by Michael Nesmith. It's the only Michael Nesmith sung tune on here. You don't have any Peter Tork tunes on here. You have a few Davies, but it's mostly Mickey Dolenz and, well, I guess it's mostly Mickey and Davy because they were the voice and the face of the Monkees, really, with Mickey being the voice and Davy being the face for the girls. So they put on "Listen to the Band" on here, which obviously was a later Monkees song. I didn't know anything about the Monkees. I didn't know their history. I didn't know I didn't know if they were still touring. Any of that stuff, I didn't know. I just knew that I liked this CD a lot, and I really like listening to the band. But I kind of stopped there. So again, that's 2012, 2013. So let's put that aside. Let's fast forward a bit to about 2015 or 2016. We'll just jump there because I think that's the right timeline. I had heard in 2012 that Davy Jones had passed away very unexpectedly. He was still in his 60s. It was a shock. He was the youngest of the Monkees. He passed away. And again, that's about the extent that I knew. Again, also I knew Davy Jones from the Brady Bunch as well. Thank you, girl. Like I knew that. So then the Monkees announced in 2016 that there was going to be a 50th anniversary record. Again, I didn't know that. For all I knew, the Monkees were still making records the way that Bob Dylan and Paul McCartney still make records in their older age. I didn't know that the Monkees had gone, 20 some years between the album Just Us and this record. And the record I'm talking about is Good Times, which is in my top 100 favorite albums of all time. It's my favorite Monkees album still, and it is just a barn burner of a record. I love this album so much. And so when they announced that, people were like, "Oh, that's crazy! How can you go on like that?" And I do remember vaguely, now that I'm thinking about it, when Davy Jones passed away, people were thinking, "How are the Monkees going to go on without Davy Jones?" He sang "Daydream Believer." Well, then when you think about it, like the hits of the Monkees, I mean, yes, Davy sang that song, but "Stepping Stone," "Mary Mary," "I'm a Believer," "Words," "Going Down," that was all stuff. Pleasant Valley Sunday, that was all Mickey Dolenz. So Mickey Dolenz is singing, like 90% of the hits for the Monkees. And there are some groups that we know that are still out and about that don't even have a fraction of that, in their songs. I mean, groups like, I'll just call out, groups like Foreigner that don't have anybody from the original band in the group. Groups like Chicago, where Peter Cetera is long gone. Peter Cetera had so many hits with Chicago. So it's very, I thought it was a good move that the Monkees moved on. And little did I know that when the Monkees lost Davy Jones, that Michael Nesmith, who, again, I didn't know the story of Michael Nesmith. I didn't know that he was kind of hit or miss with the Monkees and the history of the Monkee. He didn't, his legacy, he didn't want it to be part of the Monkees, even though he knew that it was. He wanted to be his own artist. He did his own thing. He had received a large inheritance from his mother, so he was, well established financially, so he could kind of do whatever he wanted, even if he did fail at a few things. He could kind of go on as he wanted. So little did I know that it was a big deal that Michael Nesmith was going to be recording on this album with Peter Tork and Mickey Dolenz. And so with this album, again, I've talked about it before ad nauseum. You have a bunch of writers on here that are of the modern era. You have Noel Gallagher from Oasis. You have Rivers Cuomo from Weezer. I think you have a Andy Partridge tune. Ben Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie, but then you also have a Michael Nesmith original tune. You have an archival Neil Diamond song with old Davy Jones vocals on it from the '60s. You have a Carole King tune with "I Was Not Born to Follow," which the Byrds made famous from the movie Easy Rider. So you had all of these, this merging of the past and the present on this album. And it's such a great little sunshine pop album. There's some jangly elements to it. There's some great ballads. Again, you get Davy Jones on a track. And not only is this, a reunion album, but the Monkees are actually appearing and playing on these songs. So, Mickey Dolenz is singing and you have harmony vocals from Peter and Mike. And, they're working in tandem together. It's not like an individual project that they put together and called it the Monkees, which they do on the follow-up album to this, which I'll get to in a minute. But this album just is so good. Mixed and produced by Adam Schlesinger, who was the bassist of the power pop group Fountains of Wayne. He's all over this album. We fortunately lost him in 2020 but because of COVID. He was in his 40s. But fantastic album. My favorite Monkey song on here is "Me and Magdalena." It's by Ben Gibbard, sung beautifully by Mike and Mickey. A stunner of a track. But yeah, so Good Times by the Monkees. At this point, I'm like, I love the Monkees. And this is really the majority of the Monkees stuff that I know, but I'm like, I love the Monkees. I need to know more about the Monkees. So time to give a shout out to one of my fellas out there. That's Mr. Tommy from over at Tommy's Musical Adventures. I will put his channel link below. Tommy is somebody who I started following on YouTube before I started my channel. I started my channel in December of 2020. So, we're creeping up on 4 years coming up this winter. And so I was watching Tommy. He was one of the early ones that I was following. And also I was following my buddy Matthew Street, who's also a big Monkees fan. But the cool thing about Tommy is Tommy was a Monkees fan and is a Monkees fan. But Tommy's main man, and probably, Tommy, I can speak for you, your main guy in your, I would say maybe he's on your Mount Rushmore. If not your Mount Rushmore, he's down at the bottom of the mountain. This guy right here, Michael Nesmith and the First National Band. This is, and here's the back. There's Mike looking cool. This is Mike's official solo debut after he bought out his contract with the Monkees. And what Michael Nesmith did is spectacular. He's a great songwriter. He's a fantastic singer. He combines elements of, the 60s kind of psych feel with country music, with a little bit of pop, but mostly it's like a cosmic country kind of feel. And I gotta also give a shout out to my man Aaron Mutha Alamere, who gave me this original copy. It's on RCA Victor, and it plays wonderfully. But Mike, if you didn't know, Mike Nesmith wrote the song Different Drum that was made famous by Linda Ronstadt and the Stone Ponies. He also wrote songs like Some of Shelley's Blues, which were covered by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, as was the song Propinquity. I loved this stuff. And so this album has songs like Joanne, which was a top 40 hit for him. Nine Times Blue was an early song for him. Beyond the Blue Horizon. He did 3 albums in this vein. They're called the Red, White, and Blue Trilogy. I only have this one on vinyl, but they're all about 30 minutes long, super short, but great writing, great playing, great steel guitar by the wonderful O.J. Red Rhodes on the pedal steel, who was Mike's companion in music after the Monkees. And Mike was on like the tail end, the beginning of the country rock movement that, people like Graham Parsons and, Linda Ronstadt, the Eagles, would come to then really make famous. And so Tommy, again, from on his YouTube channel, talked about, the times that he got to meet Michael Nesmith. He saw Mike play some solo shows. He had seen, iterations of the Monkees without Mike. And so I was just hooked on the videos that Tommy would put up about Michael Nesmith. They were just fantastic videos. And they're still they're actually still videos. I don't know if Tommy knows this. I'll still go back and watch some of his Nesmith videos just to kind of reacquaint myself with some things. And I actually just yesterday filming, sitting here in my apartment, I listened to a few other Nesmith tunes on his other records. But Nesmith has some great albums. Like, he's got a ton of them. But I got into Michael Nesmith, and I'm like, I'm now a big Nesmith fan. And I'm actually still a bigger Michael Nesmith fan than I am a Monkees fan. And Tommy is also in that same camp. So Michael Nesmith, huge for me. And so I started getting into Michael Nesmith and listening to his stuff. And I'm not gonna get too into like all the solo projects by the Monkees, because I have almost all of Mike's records on CD. I have a few by Peter Tork, I have a few Davy Jones, a few Mickey Dolenz releases, but this is just showing how I stayed in the Monkees wheelhouse, in the Monkees camp, was because I started listening to Michael Nesmith stuff. And then I was really hooked. Well, again, fast forward a couple of years later from Good Times, and we get another Monkees reunion album. This one is called Christmas Party. This was, again, produced by Adam Schlesinger, had a lot of the same writers on here. They do a lot of the traditional Christmas tunes. Again, there's a few archival songs from Davy Jones from when he recorded his Christmas album in the 90s. So you have him doing Mele Kalikimaka is on here. But you also have, again, new songs on here like Unwrap You at Christmas, What Would Santa Do? House of Broken Gingerbread. But then you have Michael Nesmith doing the Christmas song, very, very kind of trippy cosmic country with a pedal steel guitar. Uh, Another original Christmas party, they do Jesus Christ, which was by um, was that by Wizard, I think. Um, yeah, I think it was by Wizard. Um, just really, really good. I wish it would be Christmas every day. Silver Bells, Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney, a few others. Um, and what's so cool about this too is that, again, obviously we get another Monkees reunion album just 2 years after Good Times came out, but this also ends up being the last studio recording by Mr. Peter Tork, who would die, I think, in 2019, and of some sort of cancer in his mouth. And Peter's song on here is kind of rough to listen to. He sings "Angels We Have Heard on High." His voice is very altered with auto tuning because I think he was really struggling, but they wanted him on there. He plays some really cool banjo on it, um, but it's just it's kind of hard to listen to. But I'm really happy that we do have it and that he was a part of this final album by the Monkees. And obviously this would also be the final studio album to feature Michael Nesmith as well, who would pass away in 2021. Um, really cool. I mentioned this earlier, but to go back, whereas Good Times had the Monkees actually playing on the same tracks, these songs are pretty much solo tracks by the Monkees with their respective bands. So you have Mickey with kind of the touring Monkees band, because again he had been touring with Peter and Mike. So you have his band. Again, you have the old Davy vocals with the new Monkees band playing over it with new instrumentation. You have Nesmith playing with his guys, who include a couple of his sons, Jonathan and Christian Nesmith, and then Peter is playing with his guys. So I don't think any of the songs have more than one monkey on them, and I want to say Peter's the only one that actually plays an instrument. Um, of the other guys. But anyway, Christmas Party, it's I would say it's essential to have for the Monkees collection, because you do have a couple of Nesmith tunes, you have the Davy stuff, and then you have the one song by Peter, and then all the other songs are Mickey Dolenz. So that was the last official Monkees album. And so obviously I'm at this point I'm going back and getting other Monkees records. One of the early ones that I picked up was the first one that I picked up on CD of the original Monkees albums. It's not this, but it was the CD. Was the album Headquarters, which is the album that the Monkees did kind of without the studio's involvement. They were playing all the instruments on it for the most part. I think Chip Douglas is playing a lot of the bass stuff on here, but it's pretty much the Monkees doing everything. This is when the Monkees were about to go on tour and play their own instruments in front of 20,000 people screaming their names. They went on tour with Jimi Hendrix for a few shows. So they had to learn their stuff. And so I think this probably really helped them out, and being, somewhat, tight as a band unit. So Headquarters is really cool. It's a lot of people's favorite Monkees album. Possibly my favorite of the classic Monkees stuff. Actually, no, it's not. I would say it's second or third. But, I mean, this album has, For Pete's Sake, which had which was the end credit scene of the Monkees TV show for that second season. You Told Me, a great Michael Nesmith tune. Sunny Girlfriend. Randy Scout's Get, which was a big Mickey Dolenz song. So Headquarters, I really started getting into, listening to that album a lot. Again, that's the box set that came out in 2022. Lots of stuff on there. It's almost too much stuff, if you ask me. And then Run Out Grooves, who is an affiliate of Rhino, came out with the first two Monkees albums. This was the first one that I picked up. Very limited run. This is actually one of the more expensive records in my collection in terms of what it's gained over time. Really, really sounds fantastic. It is. It was overseen by Andrew Sandoval, who worked tirelessly with the Monkees, and he still works with Mickey Dolenz on his shows. But this is more of the Monkees. This is their second album. Again, there's a lot of story behind this. I won't go into that. I could talk about the Monkees all day. But I picked this one up, and then I went back and ordered the first Monkees album, the self-titled debut, which has another favorite song of mine called Papa Jean's Blues, another Nesmith tune. But these sound great if you can find them. I think they're very hard to find now. This is the green vinyl, which was even more limited. But really, really cool on the Rhino label. And again, of the other Monkees classic stuff, this is probably actually my favorite. It's the album Head. This is the Rhino reissue. I also have a 2011 reissue. I'd like to get an original at some point. But this has the beautiful Porpoise song. It has As We Roll Along. It has the rockin' tune Circle Sky, which is by Mike Nesmith. You have Do I Have to Do This All Over Again, my favorite Peter Tork Monkees tune. Daddy's song, Davy Jones. And then it's got a lot of, Can You Dig It is on here. It's got a lot of like dialogue between each track from the film, so it's kind of trippy. Again, not a full album's worth of songs, but a full album's length, even though I think it's like 27 minutes or so. It's pretty short, but I do really, really like this album, Head, to accompany the film of the same name. And then in 2020, we did get kind of one final Monkees album, even though it's a live album. This is the Monkees Live, the Mike and Mickey Show. This is Mike Nesmith and Mickey Dolenz. They went on tour when Peter Tork could no longer tour due to his health, and then obviously he would eventually succumb to his disease. This is fantastic because you get a lot of Michael Nesmith tunes. Essentially, the vocals are shared between the two. So like you'd have a Mickey song, then a Mike song, a Mickey, then a Mike. It's just really, really good. I think it was a 2-record set, but I mean, you have Last Train to Clarksville, Mickey, Sunny Girlfriend, Mike, Mary Mary, Mickey, You Told Me, Mike. Then they do deep cuts like The Door in the Summer. They do St. Matthew, Auntie's Municipal Court, Tapioca Tundra. They do Me and Magdalena, which is really cool. And so this is I highly recommend getting this one. Again, it's on Rhino as well. It's one of my favorite live albums. And this is a print. This is Mike and Mickey on that tour during the last year of that tour, signed by Mickey Dolenz. I still have yet to frame this, but I'm really happy to have this as well. So that cuts me back to let me back that up. Early on in my time here on YouTube, in the VC, whatever you want to call it, I was really into, I was talking about the Monkees a lot. And one of the great things about being on here is that people will send you gifts and you don't expect it. I'm humbled every time when I receive them. I've received a bunch of, Monkees related stuff over the years. Again, I mentioned Aaron Mutha Alamere sent me that Mike Nesmith album. My buddy Matthew Street sent me a bottle of Monkees banana soda, which is really cool. It's sitting on my shelf. I can see it from where I'm sitting. I didn't pull it for this, but it is displayed here in my apartment. But my buddy Harry over at Harry's Music Room, he's up in Seattle. He's a big Monkees guy, and he's seen like the iterations of the Monkees. He sent me one of my prized possessions. This is the Monkees album Pull It, which is voted by many, and I agree, their worst album. This was when they went on a reunion, I think for their 20th anniversary in the 80s, without Mike Nesmith. This is signed by all 3 guys. So you have Davy Jones there over the Monkees logo. You have Peter Tork's there, which is kind of faded. And then you have Mickey's down there. And Harry gave this to me. I framed it pretty much immediately. I've got it hanging on my wall here in my apartment. And every time I can thank Harry for it, I do, because this was just an awesome piece of VCLT. I'll treasure this till the day I die. And the fact that I have all the Monkees signatures, because I also have Mike's on another CD that I didn't pull because I didn't want to really focus on the solo stuff. Although I do want to focus on this for a second. This is kind of a great companion piece to the Mike and Mickey Show, because this was an album that Mickey Dolenz put out in 2021 called Dolenz Sings Nesmith. I ate this thing up too. When it came out, it's obviously Mickey Dolenz singing Michael Nesmith tunes, which he had been wanting to do for years and years and years. There's also an EP that you can buy that has 3 extra tracks that weren't on the CD version. But he does some Monkees tunes, like he does Circle Sky, he does Tapioca Tundra, but he also does, different dramas on here. Marie's theme from the Prison album, Propinquity, Tomorrow and Me, Grand Ennui. So this is a really, really well-produced record, produced by Mike's son, Christian. Check this out if you don't already have it. But there you go. I was, the last thing. So to wrap it back around to Tommy, in 2021, the Mike and Mickey were going on tour again, and everybody kind of knew that Nesmith was sick, but I wanted to see Mike Nesmith. Like I was dying to see Mike Nesmith because at that point I was full on into the Monkees, and so I purchased 2 tickets to see Mike and Mickey in Knoxville, Tennessee. I believe at the Tennessee Theater, and Tommy had learned, I think through social media, that I had bought tickets to the Monkees, and so we struck up some conversations. And these were like the first times that I talked to Tommy on the phone. We were texting each other, messaging. Started becoming really, really good friends with Tommy pretty early on. And Tommy's like, "Hey man, how about you come? You can stay with me and my family, and he's like, I'll drive you to the theater, and you can hang out here for the weekend. We can go record hunting." And so that was the first time I'd ever got to meet Tommy in person. So I said, sure. So went down to Tommy's place. We then carpooled to the theater, saw the Monkees, got to see Mike and Mickey. Obviously, Mike Nesmith would die about 2 months later. This was October of 21. I think he died in early December, like a week or two after the tour ended. And he did look frail, but he sounded pretty good. Like he was hitting the notes. Seeing him, Mickey, sing Me and Magdalena live was a dream come true. Seeing him sing Circle Sky, Papa Jean's Blues, listen to the band, like hearing all that stuff live was just so nice. Seeing Mickey was also great. We were like 6 or 7 rows from the front. I think I did a review on it. It's way back there. But yeah, that was a great moment. It was the moment where Tommy and I really became friends, and now Tommy is just one of my best friends in the world. So thank you, Tommy. That was just a great time with you, and then all the other times that we've met up to and talked about, the Monkees and all sorts of other music that we both love. So there you go. Very long video. I apologize. I don't expect you to have made it this far, but if you have, please subscribe. Please comment. Let me know, your Monkees story. Let me know your favorite Monkees records, favorite songs. Who's your favorite Monkee? And obviously mine's Nez, but I'd like to hear yours too, and just have a discussion there in the comments with you. And yeah. Anyway, thank you all for again indulging me in this. I do appreciate you all. In the meantime, y'all be good. Take care.